ESPN recently dropped an article just before the most recent week of college football games that polled 25 NFL scouts, execs, etc. about the 2026 quarterback class. 7 different quarterbacks got votes as the current quarterback one. There were some interesting names on the list. Pete Thamel was kind of like, yeah, some of the, almost basically outright said, some of the execs haven't been watching. Why did you poll them? This was done before the most recent college football slate of games back on Saturday and done before the John Mateer injury news. We'll dive into all of that, but how many quarterbacks go in round 1 of the 2026 NFL draft? I think it looks a little bit shaky right now. Some of the guys hoping for breakout years haven't happened, at least as of yet. So get those predictions in for me in the comment section of today's show. This is the ordering of the 7 QBs who got votes as the number 1 QB. 8 votes for LaNorris Sellers, the very electric South Carolina quarterback. On kind of the opposite end of the pros and cons spectrum, Garrett Nussmeier of LSU had 7 votes. There was a big gap after these first 2 between Sellers and Nussmeier. Carson Beck had 3 votes. I was surprised too. John Mateer had 3 votes. Is worth mentioning, by the way. We started filming this on our Tuesday live show. News broke in the middle of it that John Mateer is going to have surgery for a broken bone in his right hand. He actually hurt it against Auburn, stayed in the game, and won. But about a month of recovery here coming up for John Mateer. He had 3 votes. Drew Allar, the Penn State quarterback, had a pair of votes. Again, we're going to go in-depth on all of these guys, by the way, so stay tuned for that. Sam Leavitt got a vote. I have thoughts on him. And, of course, Arch Manning got a vote. Is anyone surprised by that one? There are some quotes we'll get to from some of these alleged, unnamed scouts, execs, etc. Those were the 7 names who got votes. I think there were 1 or 2 guys that should have got a vote, by the way. With that in mind, who do you think, right now, you got to pick somebody in a kind of shaky class here, who is the number 1 quarterback in the 2026 NFL draft? Let me know in the comment section of today's show who is the number 1 QB right now for the 2026 NFL draft. So LaNorris Sellers led the way in this ESPN poll of execs and scouts about who is the best quarterback prospect right now in college football, with upside being the biggest reason why. Here's what one alleged NFL scout told ESPN. He's got the most physical talent. His ability to scramble and make plays with his feet as a runner. He's instinctive and the ball comes out quick. Got a unique talent level. The kid, his story, how he got there. He's got a toughness to him. It intrigues people. Got the makeup, the intangibles, the ability to run. He has the most potential to be an impact player. I do agree with the NFL scout that spoke with ESPN. I think the potential is the highest for LaNorris Sellers. The size, the mobility, the arm strength, the flashes, the sheer strength. He breaks sacks like nobody else. The raw talent is there. It's just not developed yet. And that makes him a gamble. It makes him risky. It means we want to see how the rest of the season plays out. But the upside, compared to some of the other guys in this class, has certainly been seen more consistently, and it's a higher ceiling for Sellers than others in this group. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it is good to be right. Prize Picks is simple to play. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. They invented the flex play. You can still cash out if your lineup is not perfect. Here's one of the Prize Picks Sunday football slates. We got Aaron Rodgers more than 202.5 passing yards. Hawkinson more than 35.5 receiving yards. And your max discount this week. Put it in your lineups or you don't know ball. Jalen Hurts, a half passing yard. Come on, it's a no-brainer. Go download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. So LSU's Garrett Nussmeier was narrowly behind Sellers and second in that ESPN poll. I think he's more developed right now. He does, to an extent, fit the stereotype of the coach's kid. He is the son of current Saints OC Doug Nussmeier. Here's what one NFL scout told ESPN on the Nuss bus. Instinctive and finds a way. He's got a great feel for the position and a good arm. I think he's more polished right now than LaNorris Sellers is. My player comp remains Tony Romo, and for the better and for the worse of it. There are moments it's like, yeah, it's really good stuff. That's quarterbacking right there. That's real NFL quarterbacking stuff. And there's moments of like, dude, just look with your eyes. How do you miss him in the flat? How do you miss the guy right in front of you? There's like 15% of the bad Romo that creeps into his game sometimes. But I think there is starting caliber ability with Garrett Nussmeier. But is that like top 15 starting quarterback ability, or is it top 10? And if it's not top 10, how early do you want to take that guy? Pick a QB for me. LS for LaNorris Sellers, GN for Garrett Nussmeier. You got to pick one of the top two. Who is it? LS or GN? I was very surprised to see Carson Beck getting some love in this ESPN article. He went from the possible number one pick last year, was widely mocked as it, because he was the safe, reliable quarterback, to he had to transfer. He's faring better this year with the Miami Hurricanes. NFL Scouts ESPN saying, let's see if Beck can continue his renaissance because there's enough ability there. Okay, I guess. I thought he played very well against Notre Dame. There was the one touchdown in the red zone that like maybe should have been picked, but whatever. The last two games haven't been as impressed. And I thought if Florida had any semblance of a competent offense, the Hurricanes probably were going to lose that game. I see too many mistakes by Beck. He doesn't have the same arm talent, doesn't have the same physical skill set like Sellers does. So if you're not, high TD to interception ratio, he's 1-to-1 over his past two games, that's just not going to work. Are you buying Carson Beck stock right now? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. I'm going to go rapid fire through a couple more of the names that were on this list. John Mateer, he is the most fun college quarterback to watch. Electric, just making plays with his legs, chaos stuff, good chaos stuff, by the way. Did suffer a hand injury, gonna miss about a month. That is worth mentioning. Maybe that means he ends up going back to school. I think he's got one more year of eligibility / his college football, so everyone has 7 years somehow now. But he's a blast to watch, and it does think he's going to miss time with an injury. Drew Allar, look, the next game against Oregon is going to have massive impact on his draft stock. I want to see him do well against the best competition. I haven't really seen that. This is a great chance against the Oregon Ducks. My issue with Allar is it's the same issues. It's the same easy stuff that he misses. And if that doesn't get better this year, I don't think it's ever going to get better. The size, even the mobility, the arm strength, it's all there. But you can't be the developmental upside guy after being in college this long. Like, that kind of stops. At some point, it's just like, maybe you are who you are. Honestly shocked to see Sam Leavitt on here. We watched the Mississippi State game, right? He was way better against Baylor. But, he was terrible against the Bulldogs. He is too much of the bad material of just run around, make plays, and try to make chaos happen, and it's too chaotic. You do have to be able to win within structure, and I think Leavitt lacks that at some times. Fun college quarterback, but I'm not there yet on him as an NFL quarterback. Arch Manning was on here, and I'll be honest, I don't get it. I think Arch going back to school is the likely, but the obvious outcome after a pretty poor start to his season. I don't know what's wrong with Arch. This is not the same guy that we saw last year. Last year's guy had mechanics that looked good. This year's Arch is not setting his feet, throwing sidearm, missing easy throws, looking uncomfortable. Not sure if there's an injury or if he just has lost his mechanics, but something's up with Arch. Maybe it's just he's not comfortable under the pressure he faced against OSU, and it's kind of leaked into his other games. He was also terrible against UTEP. So I don't know what's wrong with Arch, but right now, back to school makes the most sense for me. This is, though, what one NFL scout said. He's very talented. Top to bottom arm talent, understanding the pocket, seeing the field, feeling the field. You see his arm strength. just needs to get everything under control and for the game to slow down. Look, everything Texas and Arch Manning want are still in front of them. Got to start winning games against better competition. The last 3 games have been a bunch of nobodies. Like the touchdown to turnover ratio looks pretty good, but I expect 70% completion rate for Arch outside of the OSU game. That didn't happen. I think going back to school is probably needed here. For more NFL news, rumors, mock draft, prospect talk, and more, hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. I want to mention 2 other quarterbacks who I think are worthy of putting in this conversation, at least for now, one of whom we might very well drop after this upcoming week. But I want to begin with Fernando Mendoza. The competition was not good until they shellacked Illinois in wild fashion. Fernando Mendoza, through 4 games, is completing almost 77% of his passes with 16 touchdowns and 0 picks. Total TDs. That's absurd. And I get he wasn't playing good competition to begin the year. It was kind of shaky in week 1. He has been lights out the last 3 weeks. This was very much the draft nerds fan quarterback going into the season. A lot more challenging competition to come for Indiana. There is the possibility that we look back on the season and go, oh, Illinois actually wasn't good. They did kind of struggle against Old Dominion, but the next couple weeks for the Hoosiers, ready for this? Iowa, Oregon. Back-to-back games. We'll see how good Iowa ends up being. But it's a road game this coming weekend. Then Oregon. That's a big one. And then Penn State down the stretch, too. Let's see what Fernando Mendoza can do, because he does a lot of the high quarterback stuff pretty darn well. Now, Dante Moore might not go pro. Benefit from the extra year of eligibilities. Years that he has, I should say. Get that Phil Knight NIL money. Haven't seen him against actual competition yet. Oregon State and Oklahoma State are bad. I mean, shoot, the Cowboys just fired their coach in Mike Gundy already. But he's been really good out there. A lot better than he was at UCLA. I think a much better supporting cast helps that out significantly. I am curious how he looks against Penn State. That's a big game for both teams, both quarterbacks, so many players. But I think Dante Moore through 4 games has been really intriguing and kind of living up to some of that 5-star hype that accompanied him to UCLA.